everyone, and welcome to a very special episode of On the Road with WHCA. My name's Rob Gullicksen.
And I'm John Capodilupo, and today we'll be your co-hosts for today's show.
And today we're actually decidedly not in Whitman or Hanson. We've actually taken our equipment on the road, you know, can't you believe it, show's title. We've brought it to the Hedge House in Plymouth, where they are hosting the first ever annual Plymouth Waterfront Arts Market.
The market started in May and it ends in October, and it consists of many local food vendors, artists, and businesses.
And hey, if that's not what the show is all about, I don't know what is. So let's take a look and see what we can find. Stay tuned.
An event like this certainly attracts attention, and for Plymouth, this could be the start of something new. The event is organized by New England Open Markets, and this year is the Plymouth Market's debut. Since 2003, New England Open Markets has sought to bring the feeling of New York City's open-air markets over to New England. They began in the south end of Boston and have since expanded to Copley Square, Harvard, and, of course, Plymouth. These markets are a real stalwart for local businesses. There's something special about the atmosphere of open markets and the sense of camaraderie they foster. To this day, New England Open Markets helps to uplift creativity and culture among artists and their communities. But hey, that's enough talking about the market. Time to show off what it has in store.
So we've found our way to a very nice looking art stand, and I'm joined by
Alix Fuerst. Yeah.
Awesome. Tell us a little bit about what you do.
So I'm a wildlife color pencil artist who creates realistic colored pencil drawings of all sorts of animals from around the world. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And they look really awesome. Like, as we were coming up to the booth, they looked like just photos, but you got really, how long have you been drawing? How long did it take you to get that good?
I guess if we're just talking drawing, I've been drawing since I was old enough to hold a pencil, so almost my whole life. But realistic color pencil drawings, I've been doing for about 8 or 9 years now.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What inspired you to pick up the colored pencils for the first time?
I saw YouTube videos online of people doing realistic speed drawings of color pencil portraits, so that so I'd say that inspired me.
Awesome. Yeah. And you got a screen going up at the booth right here, and you've got little TikTok videos of you like showing off your process.
Yeah.
And that I think is really fascinating to watch.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for joining us on the program, and keep up the good work.
My pleasure.
All right, so I'm here with Nikki Kovalsky, who said that she makes everything here all herself. And so, Nikki, this is all made by hand right here?
Yes, it is all hand-poured cement. It is a very, very fine cement. It's poured into silicone molds. The color is either dry or wet pigment mixed into the concrete prior to pouring. So it's all small batches, and I pour it in different ways to get different finishes. So
I was gonna say, you know, everything looks so intricate and just incredibly covered in detail. I mean, especially like this with all these lines. You have molds that replicate all of these.
Yes, so every single item has a mold. Sometimes I add gold foil to the outside afterwards, but yeah.
That's awesome. So I want to ask you about these too. So are these are also in molds? These little
my little figurines, super popular with the kids, mostly. But I mean, actually, everybody kind of loves them. But yeah, the little bear, whale, sea creatures, and different animals.
That's awesome. So I see a lot of the stuff is mostly like soap holders, maybe stuff you might find in the bathroom, like very
bathroom, kitchen, really anywhere in, you know, household items, but vases, napkin holders, sponge holders, trays, soap dishes.
That's awesome. That's
planters.
Amazing. Yeah. How long have you been doing this?
A little over a year.
Over a year.
Not
Wow.
long. And I just quit my job, so I'm full time now.
That's great. Well, you're doing what you love, it seems like, really.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, you know, thank you so much for your time, Nikki.
Thank you, John. Nice
good luck,
to meet
really.
you. Thank you.
You too.
Thanks.
So we've made our way over to this pottery booth, and would you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Kaila Braley. I make all this pottery, most of it on a pottery wheel, and then I paint it with layers of underglaze and glaze. And it's all super functional. It's really meant to be like stuff that you can use all the time, and you know, like your favorite thing that you grab on the way out the door, or like, you know, for your favorite bowl of cereal or something like that.
How long have you been doing this for?
Just about 7 years, so super long time now. I don't make full time, but I do work full time as a studio manager.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So what got you interested in pottery to begin with?
I had taken it in school and just like loved it, but didn't realize you could like do it outside of school. And then when I was working, I was actually a newspaper reporter for a little bit, and when I was working at that job, I just had a little bit of flexible time and took a few classes at local pottery in Norwell, actually, and just became like totally obsessed with it. So just like had
So
to keep
it
going.
was one of those things that kind of started as a hobby, but then you're like, hey, I could make some money off of this.
Yeah, I started as a hobby and
Absolutely.
just like couldn't stop, you know, whether I made money or not.
I mean, there's just a lot of interesting stuff. Like, there's like little cups here. That's really cool. Like little pots. This is like a coffee mug, maybe?
Yeah, totally.
Now, I feel like this is for like your herbal tea.
Oh, sure.
You know,
Yeah.
That's the vibe I'm getting from this
I would
one.
eat ice cream out of it. I would
Honestly,
drink some tea
yeah,
out of
that'd be
it.
interesting.
A little bit of wine, whatever you got.
Oh
Throw it
my,
in there.
yeah, wine. Don't even get me started. You got like little hanging potted plants over here. That's very nice.
Yeah, thanks. So, I mean, there's just kind of like, you know, an endless number of functional things you can do with pots like this. But yeah, these guys here, you know, I don't really have time usually to have coffee at home, so I tend to just like take it to go. But I haven't had these lids before, so I would just have to like drink it down before I hit a pothole. And now you got a splash guard. So.
Yeah, I think, and like the painted designs too, I think add really a lot of character to it. Like it's not just like a plain pot. Like it's something that really like catches the eye too. And you have like a story to tell somebody, like, oh, where'd you get that? It's like, oh, it was just like a local pottery maker. Like, what's the title of like a pottery maker?
Potter.
Is it just Potter? Okay. See, that's way more simple than where I was going. But yeah.
Pottery maker's not wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're doing some great work over here.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, super fun. I love coming out to markets like this because you really get a chance to meet people, see what they're
Absolutely.
interested in. It kind of works a little bit as like a focus group to see like what people are picking up, what people are buying. So it's great to just like meet people, see what they like.
And it's just great to see people making some money doing what they love. So yeah, thank you for joining us on the program.
Yeah.
It's
Nice
been
to
a
meet
lot
you.
of fun talking to you.
Yeah, you too.
I love it. Yeah. No, it's really comfortable too.
Good hat. You wear it well, that's for sure.
Do I?
Oh yeah, John, you are a hat guy 100%.
I am a hat guy, especially with the hair. It helps it flow.
You have the cardboard in it still, so you know.
All right, so I'm here with Ryan Boutchie. Is that it?
That's
it,
it,
right?
Ryan
Great.
Boutchie,
I love
nailed
it.
it. Yep.
Awesome. And this is, and him and his wife run the company Coral Anchor, Rhode Island, and seems like it is a clothing brand that they make from their home. So Ryan, you want to tell me a little bit about your company then?
Definitely, yeah. We do nautical themed clothing designed and printed at home by us. Everything's super comfortable. We want everything to hold up for whoever's wearing it, and we have fun with it. We don't take ourselves too seriously. We think that's pretty important.
That seems like a very important philosophy to live by.
Darn right.
That's right, exactly, yeah. I want to ask you, like, what kind of fabric do you use to make this? Because a lot of these, if you don't mind, if I take
Do
this,
anything you need to do, of course.
It's a very soft fabric. So you want to tell me about like the process?
So the t-shirts it's called sublimation. It's it needs to be a certain blend. So that is a polyester cotton blend. But they've come so far with the blends now. They're really soft. They breathe well, which is important to us. Again, we want everything to be comfortable. But the sweatshirts are a different process. Those are screen printed.
Feels like a great wear, and I'm actually buying one. So how long have you been doing this?
So this is our 6th summer.
Wow, really?
Yeah,
Six summers?
Yeah, we've been out for a while. Yeah.
What made you decide you wanted to start making nautical themed clothing? It's a really good idea. A lot of people really like this stuff.
It is. It's all unique. We have fun with it. We started off actually as we did like nautical cutouts, like wood cutouts from repurposed wood, and it wasn't really scalable. We just started with a sweatshirt kind of on a whim, and that kind of caught, and we had some success with it, and then we moved forward and we evolved, and here we are today. It's not really a sexy story, to be honest.
No, but you know, it got you to here, and you know,
right.
It seems like your business is taking off and doing extremely well.
Thanks,
I mean, it's
man.
really comfortable clothing. I love this hat.
Beautiful.
I'm taking this with me. So hey, Ryan, thank you so much
Thanks,
for
John.
talking with you.
I appreciate it.
Really, and everyone, please, Coral Anchor, Rhode Island.
Let's go. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. Thanks, dude.
Yeah, I got you.
So the Arts Market is hosted right in front of the historic Hedge House in Plymouth. So I thought that a good idea for this program would be to come inside the Hedge House and get some insight on what that's all about. And I'm joined by Ann Mason from the Plymouth Antiquarian Society. How are you doing today, Ann?
I'm doing very well. Thank you for
Awesome.
asking.
Thank you for joining us on the program. So let's start by telling us a little bit about what the Plymouth Antiquarian Society is all about, what they do.
Sure. So our organization was founded in 1919 by a group of local women who wanted to preserve historic buildings. They were seeing a lot of demolition happening locally, and they were concerned that the more historic structures you turn down, you tear down, the more historic structures you tear down, the more you lose a sense of history and a sense of place. So Plymouth was in danger of losing its identity. And so actually the catalyst for forming the Antiquarian Society was the proposed demolition of this house, where we are today, the Hedge House, what we call the Hedge House. It was originally built in 1809 on Court Street, which is, for people familiar with Plymouth, is only about 300 yards sort of diagonally in that direction. Right now we're located on Water Street. Originally, the house was on Court Street, where Plymouth Memorial Hall is today. The town purchased the house in 1919 after the last resident died in 1918, and they were going to tear down the house to build Memorial Hall. The Antiquarian Society got together, again, all local women, and said, we can't let that happen. It's a historic house, it's architecturally significant, it has this long history. And so the town said, well, you can have the house for $1 as long as you can move it. So they said, we're still gonna use that land to build Memorial Hall, so you're gonna have to find a way to move the house. So by 1924, the society had raised enough money and organized themselves to build this current property where we sit today, and then to move the house here, and to rotate it 180 degrees. So instead of facing Court Street, the main thoroughfare through town, it now faces Plymouth Harbor, and we have this beautiful ocean view.
Absolutely. So how would they have moved the house? Like, was it couldn't have been all in one, like it had to have been like piece by piece, right? Like how does that work?
It's a great question. So the house was built so well that basically, just like you might jack up a car when your mechanic works on it, you could lift it off its foundation, and the frame of the house was sturdy enough to hold it. So it all stayed in one piece, except that it's a very large house. Mm-hmm. So they actually broke it into 3 sections. So we're in the main part of the house, the front part of the house right now. So that was moved first. And then there's an L or addition out the back that was moved as a second section. And then there's also what we call a carriage house or a stable, where the family kept their carriages and their horses, and that was moved as a 3rd section. So they did it in 3 sections, but basically lifting it up, rolling logs underneath, and then having teams of horses pull it. So as we understand it, they had a team at the front to get it going, and then they had a team at the back to make sure it didn't go too quickly, because we're on a hill, so you don't want a house to start rolling right away. But that's how they did it.
That's really fascinating. just thinking about like the logistics of how this whole thing came around. I'd like to know a little bit of history about like the owners of the house. I don't know, because I know you guys offer guided tours. Like, I don't want to spoil too much about that, but like, is there anything I could know about the original owners of the house?
Sure, yep. The house was built by a man named William Hammett, and he was a ship owner and a merchant. So he was a descendant of John Howland, who's one of the Pilgrims. So he had a long history here in Plymouth. He made a fortune pretty early in his life. He was still in his 30s when he built this house. Unfortunately for him, he lost that fortune around the time of the War of 1812, which really decimated shipping within New England. And so there's a lot of poverty along the eastern seaboard at that time. He eventually moves up to Maine and gets a second fortune in the timber industry up there. So he has a happy ending. The house in the 1830s becomes the home of the Hedge family, Thomas and Lydia Hedge and their children. Thomas Hedge was, again, a very well-connected man about town. He had a number of different business interests. He was also a merchant. He owned, with his brother, one of the wharves that stretched into Plymouth Harbor. So he had ships coming in and out. He also was an investor in whaling in the early mid-19th century. He invested in the gas lighting industry. So above us is actually what was originally a gas chandelier. It has been electrified, but that would have been a step up from having candlelight in your home. You now have gas light. So he diversified and had a lot of different businesses.
That's cool. When it comes to like preserving like a historic house, like there's a lot of importance behind that. You want to preserve the legacy, preserve the history. What sort of goes into actually preserving a house like this? Like what are like the precautions you take to make sure everything stays clean, doesn't get damaged, or if there's any replicas that need to be made, how you like stay as true to the original as possible? What's the process about that?
Well, as you can imagine, it's very involved because you are dealing with a lot of different time periods, a lot of different, not just the objects within the house, but the house itself. So we are guided by the Secretary of the Interior standards for historic preservation, which means that we try to preserve as much of the original fabric of the house as possible. So, we don't go around tearing down walls or ripping out windows. We really want to keep as much of the original architectural details as possible. And then where things have been changed at different points, sometimes we do try to bring them back. So for example, visitors to the house today are actually seeing it after a major renovation that we did about 15 years ago. And so they're seeing reproduction, historic carpets, historic wallpaper. We did paint analysis, so they're seeing the original paint colors on the woodwork. So things like that we're trying to bring back, and then other things we're trying to preserve as much as possible. So as anyone knows who has a property to maintain, there's a lot of time that goes into it. There's a lot of expense, and you just really have to be constantly keeping track of things and making sure that your roof isn't leaking, nothing's rotting, that everything's painted. And so our challenge at the Antiquarian Society is that we not only have this house, we also have 2 other historic houses in Plymouth.
Tell me about those.
So the Antiquarians purchased the Harlow House in 1920, and that was built around 1677. So that's a colonial period house, and that's on Sandwich Street in Plymouth. And then we also have the Spooner House, which is an 18th century house, and that's on North Street in Plymouth. So these are 3 historic houses that are open as museums to the public.
So when somebody goes on this museum tour, what kind of stuff can they expect to see from it?
Well, we, again, here at the Hedge House, you're really stepping back in time and seeing a domestic space as it could have looked in 1809, all the way into the 1860s. We also tell the story of the families, so you'll learn about the family who lived in the house and also their historical context. So you'll learn a little bit about Plymouth in the period when the house was occupied. So that doesn't cover the family itself, but also the servants who lived here, the servants who worked here, what was going on the waterfront, what sort of businesses were there locally. So it's really a chance to understand Plymouth's past, right on location where history happened.
Yeah, and there's got to be like a really big importance to preserving that history, yeah?
I think so. Again, I think it helps people sort of understand their town, their community. They are able to feel a little more rooted, even if they're not personally connected to these families. They get a sense of, this is what life was like in Plymouth. This is why the town looks the way it does. And then you also, there's fun stories, there's challenging stories in the past, but there's a lot to learn from the past. So
absolutely, yeah. And this has been really great. Thank you for having us. This has been really eye-opening. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
So we got more art coming your way. Stay tuned with On the Road.
On the Road is one of WHCA's one-off series programs, shows that anyone in the community can produce episodes for without long-term commitment. If you've ever wanted to be on TV, then this is for you. Just submit your content and we'll handle the rest. For more info about our one-off series programs, go to WHCA.tv. And now, back to On the Road.
All right, so we're back in the market and we are coming over to Cape Cod Laserworks, and I'm joined by
Sean Lewis.
Nice to meet you, Sean. Thanks for being on the program.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about what you do.
Great. So basically I design and print all of these earrings. Everything that we make is super lightweight. We try to make it so it's not pulling on your ears all day. We make it out of acrylic and wood. Everything's designed and printed by us and then put together. We also do a lot of slate work and woodwork as well, some engraving, stuff like that. So,
yeah. How long have you been doing it for?
About 4 months so far, so we're very new, but really are enjoying it.
So is this something that you took up with starting the business, or have you been doing it before?
I started making earrings for my wife on the laser cutter that we bought, and she really liked them, so it just kind of spun into a small business. So.
Cool, yeah. I mean, like, I've been looking at these cutting boards too, and like, these are so nice. Like,
thank you.
Look at that, like that is so sleek. It's got like the nice wood grain, it's got the laser design. So what's the process of actually making these?
So I designed the actual engraving on the computer, and then I put the slate piece inside of my printer and it prints it right onto that.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
So it comes...
And it comes out so you can clean it as well.
Oh yeah, that makes for way easier cleaning.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so then these things here, these are... Like
those are coasters.
Yeah.
I made those. I actually designed those for myself with all the fish because I'm an avid fisherman.
Oh, absolutely.
And they took off as well, so I made that a product as also. We just started an Etsy.com, so
awesome.
That's new.
Yeah. What do you think is your favorite thing on this table? Like, if there's anything that you would really recommend somebody get, what would that be?
I just made these shark earrings last night that I really like with the white.
Those are sick.
So those are super popular. Those I really enjoy. I like the slate work as well. I think it looks great. It's super durable too.
Yeah, the slate work I think is really like the eye catcher.
Yeah,
too.
That's really new for me. I think I started that a couple weeks ago. So
absolutely, you got the coup de grace of the town here, Plymouth Rock.
Yes,
you know, the place everybody comes to see. Yeah, this is really great stuff, man. Thanks for joining us on the program.
Thanks for stopping by.
Absolutely.
Nice to meet you all.
Yeah, you too.
Thank you.
All right, so I'm here with Emily today, right? Emily, and you know, tell us what's going on with your table. You know, it's got a very mossy touch to it, mossy feel.
Yeah, so I create jewelry. I use vintage components and findings, as well as semi-precious stones. I like to create jewelry that is both fierce and delicate. That's sort of my motto with it. So I try to, create sharp elements and some delicate chains, and try to make everything a little interesting and a little unique. So.
You know, I really can read I can read the vibe when I look at the table. I mean, it's got a very kind of macabre feeling to it, but it's got a lot of beauty to it. Like, I love these. I just noticed these little bats. With these little bat bracelets.
Bat bracelets. Yeah.
Oh, awesome! I love that. Look how cool that is. It's very creepy and very beautiful at the same time. Must have taken a lot of effort to, a lot of handwork to create all this. You do everything yourself?
So I use findings. So those are metal pieces. So for example, the bats come to me flat and unplated. They are a Victorian design. The findings come from a factory in Providence, Rhode Island that's been around for more than 100 years.
Wow.
They actually use the same seal stamps that they did 100 years ago to stamp those.
That's so interesting.
So,
I never knew that. That's very cool. So tell me about how long have you been doing this, Emily?
Do this about 9 years now.
9 years,
Yeah,
wow. So it must be very popular then, really.
I mean,
seems like it's
hopefully, I think so. Every once in a while, someone comes up to me and says, "Oh, I already follow you on Instagram," and I'm like, "I'm famous."
That's good. That's good. That's good. Really, that's awesome. I see you actually have some. I noticed that you have some jewelry on yourself today. Yeah. You want to show us a little bit of that?
Yeah.
What do you
got? I have one of my favorite pocket knife necklaces.
Awesome.
This one has an antique button on it that has a spider.
Oh wow,
so
that's really cool.
Like a Victorian button.
Awesome.
And opals, which are my favorite.
What are these things right there?
These little guys. This is called rosary chain with the little stones, those are opals. The little beads.
Those are opals. They're so tiny. I never knew you could get them to be that small.
Yeah.
That's crazy. What about this thing right here? Yeah, you want to talk about that?
This is. So these ones are original findings from like the 1940s, I believe.
Yeah.
So these were 2 pins that I found, 2 separate pins that both were from, I think, the World's Fair.
Wow, that's amazing.
So I took the World's Fair piece off and I just made a little, I call them collar clips out of those.
That's incredible. Wow.
Yeah, I think, and I have my hair clip here.
That's what those are. You know, I see a lot of those around here actually. I don't remember where, right there.
So they're over there.
Yep.
So it's a Victorian design as well. So a Victorian hand hair barrette.
It's amazing.
Really nice and colorful hair, and
No, it goes well, really. It's a very cool, it's a really cool piece of jewelry. All right, and all right, well, I think we're all set now. Thank you so much for your time, Emily.
Thank
really
you so much.
amazing.
Nice to meet you guys.
Yeah, of course.
So you can still get souvenirs now. You can still get souvenirs. However, they're very light metal. This is an older one.
It's pretty light, I'd say. Yeah. Are you saying that like
the newer ones are more tin-like, or very like a lighter aluminum.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So you'd think that this older one would be heavier then?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
So sometimes the appeal of a market like this isn't necessarily the stuff that people make that's handmade, but also you just find something odd, something a little interesting that catches your eye, and that's what we have today. And you are?
Yeah, Carol, and I'm an antiques collector and been doing it for a few years. And like you said, the eye. I like to pick up things that are a little bit different.
Absolutely, yeah. You've got a really interesting variety of stuff right here. What kind of stuff do you usually sell?
Things that I like.
and it's all like antique, sort of vintage?
Yes, antique and vintage, yes.
So where do you go about finding things like this? Because it's always such like a strange collection when people say like they have antiques, like they sell vintage stuff. It's always just like there's like no rhyme or reason to it.
Right.
So where do you find this kind of stuff?
It doesn't all come together or from the same place. It comes from different places. I try to organize it so that it's somewhat in the same categories. And where do I find it? I go to estate sales. I just came back from Brimfield. Sometimes you can find a yard sale or a thrift store, and just something, and your friends know that you do it, so they pass things on also.
Yeah, you just have your friends sell you stuff and then you sell it back?
Consignment.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And it's a gnome.
It's a gnome?
Yeah.
Oh,
and
right.
He's made out of, I believe, suede.
Suede.
Yeah, and he's, I guess he's gonna look after you.
Yeah? I kind of want to buy this.
I don't know how old this is, but it's got the person's name on it.
Oh, yeah?
And they would take an old piece of wood on any item and just put these little charms on it.
What do you think is the appeal of people, especially like younger people maybe trying to like look for vintage antique stuff? What do you think is the appeal of people that buy this kind of stuff?
Well, a lot of people, it depends on what brings a happy memory to them, say grandma's house, or and then a lot of young people don't want anything that their parents had or their grandparents had. They like the more simple. But you'll find occasionally someone that sees something that they like and that they want to bring home with them.
I think there's also something interesting about trying to decipher the history of something.
Yeah.
You know,
things
see
are
this-
made. Yeah, things are made very different today.
Yeah, you see this random collectible and you're like, well, who made this? When was it made? You know, what went into making it? And I think that's just a really interesting, you know, for a lot of people, it's just like a pastime, you know, and they have an interesting story to tell if, you know, they have something at home and it's like, oh, well, what's this? And then they can talk about
and
that.
That's the fun thing, because when you pass the story along, it brings a little bit more value to the piece, because it's something that was used for a particular item.
Yeah, just keeping legacy alive.
Yes.
That's really cool. Thank you for joining us on the program.
Rob. It was nice to meet you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And thanks
You
for
too.
stopping.
Sorry, yeah. So I'm here with, again,
Jason Cole of Jason Cole Photography.
Awesome. So Jason, you said that you take pictures of a lot of landscapes.
Do landscape, nautical, sunrise, sunset.
Really awesome. How long have you been doing that, Jason?
Doing like this for about 8 years, but I've been taking pictures my whole life.
Really, that's awesome. You have a website or a business?
JasonCole.photography.
Awesome, man.
Yeah, all my pictures up there, Facebook, Instagram, have an Etsy.
That's great. That's awesome. When did you start doing this? You said 8 years ago.
Yeah.
What got you into it?
Friend pushed me. I've been, like I said, taking pictures my whole life, and somebody pushed me like, you need to show your work. It's more than just keeping it to yourself.
You know what? They really did you a favor there, because honestly, I love looking at your work. Right here, this picture is absolutely beautiful. You took this?
Yep, sunrise in Marshfield.
Wow. Wow, look at that. A beautiful sunrise. All right, Jason, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yep.
Now we've made our way over to the Roving house and we've got some really interesting stuff to show off. You guys want to introduce yourselves?
I'm Lauren.
John.
Tell us about what you're selling.
We illustrate all of the pins and patches and accessories here. We do all our own artwork, and we love taking it around on the road with us.
Nice.
We started the Roving house in like 2008.
Yeah.
Nice. Very cool.
Pins since like 2018.
18? Yeah.
So you guys got like even like mystery pins here. Has this been like a good seller?
The mystery
Like the
bags and the
mysteries?
mystery pins are probably our biggest
Nice.
biggest deals, and these pop-up events. People love them.
So do you guys have like specific sets or like collections, or is it just kind of everything all together?
We have a kind of everything here, but we do a few different things. Like we do the bug box, which is an insect-inspired themed subscription box. So we bring a lot of pins out from the bug box to these events. That's all the stuff basically on the craft backers over there. We have the Gold Club, which is mystery pins that we do in the mail, blackout and whiteout. And we bring them out here as well. And then just kind of other stuff that we draw.
We collaborated with a local coffee roaster.
Yeah, that's what got my attention was the coffee. You want to talk about that?
Sure, that's all roasted in Plymouth through Leiden Street Coffee. They have a little zero emissions roastery and coffee shop in Plymouth, and each bag comes with an enamel pin.
Cool.
So we do it that's another subscription that we do, or we sell it in person.
Yeah, I'm actually a little interested in this Roving house blend here.
Yeah, they're all fresh.
Is there like
roasted.
a specific like flavor note that this comes with, or is it just like
Brazilian Colombian blend, and we call it kind of like a orangey. It's a medium roast, kind of like orangey chocolatey.
Ooh, fascinating. All right, cool. Well, thanks for joining us on the program. You guys got some really cool stuff here. Well, that's going to do it for today's episode of On the Road with WHCA. Thank you so much for joining us today.
If you have a local business that you want featured on our show, you can send us your email or give us a call.
As always, I'm Rob Gullicksen.
I'm John Capodilupo.
And until next time, we'll see you on the road.